Welcome to my presentation, Assertiveness for Translators and Language Professionals. So, I have now shared my screen and you can hopefully see the slides. So, this is the first slide. And I will start with a short introduction. Who am I? My name is Antje Bothin. I live in Scotland. I'm originally from Germany. I work as a German translator and tutor, and I work with English and German. I'm also a published author and a coach, and I'm the founder of Assertive Voices. I help women in business and introverts with assertiveness and speaking confidently in conversations, with setting boundaries, having better negotiations and conflict resolution skills, and related things, also regarding communication anxiety. I also run assertiveness training workshops, and I have coaching programs and online courses, and you can find my contact details on another slide, but I'm on all major social media websites. Just look for Assertive Voices or my name. So that's about me. Let's get started with a story. So I took a translator here, let's call her Sandy, and she did not stand up for the prices she deserved for her work. So she often agreed to work for less, and then she felt overwhelmed and undervalued when doing her work. So that was Sandy's situation as a translator. And then when she started doing work on assertiveness and becoming more confident, things changed for her. And when meeting with a client, she explained her point of view and negotiated her terms. And then she started to feel more valued. And soon she was known for her great service, and she was able to expand her business. This is a success story, how assertiveness training and coaching can help you. And this is what I'm going to talk about in this presentation. I will look at what is assertiveness and why is it important for you as a translator and language professional. We will discover the reasons for a lack of assertiveness. We will explore why you need to set boundaries. We will identify your communication style and different communication styles that exist. And you will learn how you can express confidence with your body, your voice, and also in your mindset. So let's get started. What is assertiveness? Assertiveness is the clear, open, and honest and respectful expression of your thoughts, feelings, needs, desires, and boundaries. It is a set of beneficial behaviors and effective communication techniques, and it means you're standing up for yourself while respecting others. Why be assertive? It has many advantages to be assertive in your life, in your business. It is better for your mental health. If you're assertive, you have better well-being. Assertiveness boosts self-confidence and self-esteem. You're more satisfied in your relationships with people. You have less conflict, and you increase your job performance and business success. Why do we lack assertiveness? Some people told me they didn't feel assertive. So reasons could be low self-esteem. Everything goes back to your past experiences, particularly as a child, how your family upbringing was, what your teachers did, where you grew up, things like the environment around you, education, where the boundaries that the adults around you said clear or unclear, what did they think, what was parents' mindset. Also cultural values, gender norms. So for example, women are usually told they should be more quiet and not be aggressive. So that's a cultural thing. But also fear of conflict, rejection, criticism, or just thinking people won't like you if you stand up for yourself, which is not true. So these could be reasons why you think you're not assertive yet. The good news is assertiveness can be learned. Assertiveness can be practiced. You can become more assertive. So this is just a few reasons why you might lack assertiveness right now. Now let's talk about communication style. Communication is one of the most essential components of any interpersonal relationship, and your communication style shows how your message is conveyed in your conversations. So we all develop our own patterns that we learned from the people around us that modeled that for us, and that is better or worse. So it is not necessarily effective. So let's look at the different communication styles that exist. The first one is passive. A passive communication style is when the person is quiet, reserved, possibly soft-spoken, and they're less likely to openly express their feelings. These people don't like to be the center of attention, they rarely speak up, and because of that, their needs are not met. Nobody knows what they need, they don't say it. They avoid conflict and confrontation and defer decision-making to others, so they don't like decision-making either. They may be overly apologetic, but they don't clearly express what they want and need. This can look like this. So you can see this person agrees, yes, of course, she's looking down. So this is a passive style. It is not very effective as this person doesn't meet her own needs by agreeing to everything and not speaking up. The next one is aggressive. An aggressive communication style means you dominate conversations with loud thoughts and opinions. You're overly direct, often with minimal considerations for others. You might yell and shout before thinking, and this often triggers arguments with others because you're perceived as defensive, hostile, and hurtful. So you may get your things through, but you offend others. So obviously also not the most effective way to communicate. This could look like this. So you see, this person is shouting into the telephone, "Do it yourself." So this is not very polite. This is the aggressive style. A third one is called passive aggressive. This is basically a combination of both. Here you have a person that appears passive from the outside. On the surface, they agree, but inside, they feel aggression, hostility that is hidden. So there's a disconnect between the strong emotions these people feel inside and how they express those emotions on the outside. And this is also not effective because nobody knows what this person wants and what's going on, and that they're not happy because they express dissatisfaction indirectly through sarcasm. They might be making jokes and non-verbal communication, like sulking, giving someone the silent treatment, or procrastination on purpose. So they're trying to show their dissatisfaction, but not really openly. And so it might be very difficult to have nice relationships with a person with a passive-aggressive communication style. This might look like this. So we see this lady thinks he should know what I want, but obviously he doesn't because she didn't say it. She's just sitting there passively like this. So not an effective way to let someone know what you want. Now, the fourth communication style and most effective one is the assertive style. You state your thoughts and feelings confidently and you listen actively to others. You have an open, direct, clear and respectful manner, and you express your emotions. This is most effective and healthiest because you're emotionally honest and considerate of other people's feelings. The assertive communication style leads to fewer conflicts and lower stress levels in your interactions, just because you are basically in the middle between passive and aggressive now. You're speaking up, but you're doing it respectfully and politely. So this makes this the most effective communication style. It could look like this. So we can see this person is saying, I need time to recharge. I'm happy to help on Monday. So she's clearly saying what she wants and what she needs. And she says that in I form. She does not blame anyone. She uses an open posture and the right body language. So this is what assertive looks like. Now, assertiveness supports more effective communication. You get your message understood and respected. You can speak up and get heard. You set boundaries to protect your energy and your time. And you can say no to things you don't want to do, and you can say yes to things you want to do. And you can say that without needing to apologize, without feeling bad. You know it is your right to say no, and it is your right to say yes, and it is your right to set healthy boundaries for yourself, because you cannot take on too much work and then the work quality would suffer, or maybe you have family duties, the things you want to do at the weekend, so you cannot agree to working overtime. You cannot do too much work. You might not have enough energy. You might get unwell if you do too much work without rest. So it is for your own good and your right to do this and be assertive. And assertiveness also helps you to identify better ways to address and resolve conflict. So you have better relationships with people because you're perceived as competent and polite and respectful. So now you might wonder, how can you be assertive? So one thing is mindset shift. So move away from thinking I'm not assertive and start thinking I can be assertive. I'm not assertive yet, but I can learn it. I can practice it. Because assertiveness is a skill you can learn. It's not a personality trait. And you can use simple assertiveness techniques. You can practice active listening, because listening is very important in conversations. You want to listen to understand and not think about what you say next. Also know silence is okay in conversations. You don't need to speak all the time. Silence is okay. It emphasizes important points. It gives people time to process and think. So no need to be loud. You can be a quiet leader. It is just that you present yourself assertively in this way, and you're going to be perceived like a leader. Another thing is how you speak and what you say. So your tone of voice, the speed of speaking, what words you emphasize, if you speak loud or quietly, things like that. Not necessarily the actual words. These are not really too important for the impression you make. Which is more important is the tone of the voice and the body language. So we can see in these pictures here, on the left-hand side, this is like closed up, kind of saying don't talk to me. And on the right-hand side, you can see open posture, the hands are seen, and she's smiling. So think about your body language, how you use eye contact, how far you stand or sit away from others, what you do with your arms, hands, legs. All these things are very important, and most of that happens automatically with us humans, so we don't think about that. But this is how we decide if we like someone and if this is a pleasant relationship or rather not. It's not necessarily the actual words we say. So I would like to point your attention to this free resource that I have. It's called the Business Leader's Guide to Speaking with Confidence, and it contains 5 essential assertiveness techniques. There's a checklist, an ebook you can download, there's a video to watch. You can access these resources under the link given here if you want to, and that can help you to start becoming more assertive. I also have an online course that's called Assertiveness is a Skill You Can Learn and Master. You find that on Udemy under that link. And if you want to get in touch with any question or comments, this is my email address, info@assertivevoices.com. Then there's Linktree Assertive Voices, where you can find all my social media links, links to my coaching programs, assertiveness training workshops, and everything else I've done. So please feel free to get in touch. Thank you for listening and watching this. And if you have any questions, then I'm happy to answer them. And feel free to get in touch, contact me. We can also book a free discovery call. I've got a link on Calendly where you can set up a conversation if you want to. So I'm happy to help. Thank you.
Alrighty there, just a moment while I bring our speaker in. Uh-oh. Just a moment. There we go, I think. Hi there, Auntie. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, hello.
Okay, great. Thanks for being here. Am I pronouncing your name correctly, Auntie?
Yeah, Antje.
Antia. Okay, great. Excellent. Thank you for the presentation, and thank you for being here today for the live question and answer portion. Uh, let's get to some questions. I had some questions as I was watching the presentation. Um, I, I think a lot of us confuse uh, aggressiveness with assertiveness,
Mhm.
and maybe we go too far one way or too far the other, and we're constantly communicating across cultures. So maybe we have to be a little bit more careful than other people. Um, do you have any tips for how to take care to not cross that line, especially if I'm communicating to someone in another language or another culture?
Mhm. Yeah, as I mentioned in the presentation, assertive is not aggressive. Assertive is when you speak up for yourself and respect others at the same time. So basically, you don't blame anyone. You can do that by speaking in I statements, for example. So you don't say, you did that wrong. You say things about yourself, like, for example, I feel this is not right for me because it would be better to do it like this, and then kind of like negotiate a win-win with the other person without blaming, and then in the next thing then bringing something that can be done also in I form. So as a suggestion, for example, I suggest maybe we do this, and so this is a way to be assertive that's not aggressive as such. So assertiveness can be very quiet, but it's not that you shout or that you're loud or that you're aggressive. It's just that you say what you want in this polite way.
And in the chat box, Kadim says, "Never say what first comes to your mind." Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's a good idea to pause first when you feel angry or upset, for example, and take a deep breath and try to calm down a bit and give yourself time to think, and then it's easier to respond in a polite way and in an assertive way when you're not that emotional in that moment.
Good, good. In watching your presentation, I was thinking mostly in written communication, emails and chats and things like that, which well, we have a lot of those nowadays. I find myself personally nowadays maybe adding, for example, more exclamation points to my communications than I normally would because I'm trying to sound friendly. I'm trying to make sure that the tone that is coming across isn't being misread. Am I doing that right? Should I be doing that sort of thing, or should I just keep it simple and straight to the point?
Yeah, I think tone of voice is very important. And when it's email, we don't have that. We can't see the other person, we can't hear the voice, we don't see the body language. It's just the words and maybe emojis or what you used. So it's even more important to express what you want to say in a way that it's likely that it's understood the way you wanted it to be understood. So that's certainly something you can look into, how to write your email and how to communicate with the other person. And of course, also, like you said, the culture. So who are you communicating with and where are they from, and maybe you could Google and find out things so that you don't do anything wrong if you're really unsure, or familiarize yourself with what would be expected if this is a totally different culture than your own, for example.
Okay, good, good. Um, Kaniba, I believe, asks how to avoid body language when you are angry. I think he means when you're angry, you're in a
Mm.
situation and you're angry. How do you keep that body language, that angry body language, from coming through, or should you?
Yeah, I think, as I said, you have to just do something to calm yourself down, so don't let that anger take over for hours or just for longer. So you see, emotions are important to alert us of something, that something is wrong, and we feel them for a few seconds, but if we feel them for longer, then it becomes something that isn't really good for us. So we should try to calm down and kind of look at it from a different point of view if that's possible. So there's something good in everything if you just look for it, and that's then a mindset thing. How do I react to things? Do I really get aggressive, or am I passive, or am I trying more to be composed and kind of bringing across what I want to bring across?
And what would you recommend in a situation where maybe I feel I had an interaction with someone, I felt in that moment I was too passive and I kind of let them steamroll me. Some time has passed
Hmm.
and I want to revisit that with that person. Should I attempt to do that or just write it off and move on?
Yeah, it depends on if it is important to you, and in what relationship you are with this person and what situation it was about. But I would say it's a good idea to come back to something like with your boss or a colleague, or when it's really something you want to be handled, and do it in a factual and concise way. So do it in a way that it is not hurting someone. So now that you've thought about the event and you shouldn't be angry anymore, you can state that issue in a more neutral way, in a more assertive way, as such.
Good, good. And let's do one more question to wrap this up. Ahmed says, as a legal translator and lawyer, I sometimes face clients who insist on specific terminology that is legally inaccurate in the target jurisdiction. How can I assertively educate the client on the correct legal usage without sounding arrogant or risking the relationship?
I would state the legal basis for the thing, maybe send a document or sources that this is the truth that they need to accept if it needs to be done like that. And then, yeah, that's pretty much what you need to say,
And
basically.
just limit it to, okay, here are my sources, and keep it simple in that sense, you mean?
Yeah, just say something like, the law requires me to stick to this and this, and that's why I do it like this, and that is also better for you that you keep to this, so that we are safe on the law side. So something like that, and then maybe also find a compromise if that's possible. So I don't know about specific terms, but kind of try to negotiate that it's in the end a win-win for both sides.
Pointing out that it's in the client's best interest. This is good for you. That's a good point. Good
Yeah,
tactic. Awesome. All right, we're running a bit short on time, so we'll have to end things here. But once again, thank you for taking the time to put together the presentation, sending it in, and for showing up here. I really appreciate it. And like I said, the idea is to see if we can do these events more frequently. So maybe we'll see you again in a coming event.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you, and have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
All right, let me see here. All right, so that was Antje Bothin. We are kind of precisely on schedule, so I think what we're going to do is just jump into the next presentation for now. Before we do that, I just wanted to give a shout out. I mentioned at the top that for those who wish to donate to Proz Pro Bono, donations are open. You will see them towards the bottom of this page in the event details. There's a form there. I'll also send that link again in the chat box in case you don't have it at hand. I wanted to kind of shout out and thank both Eva and Cynthia for their donations. There have also been two anonymous donations, so we'll respect their anonymity. It would be nice if I knew how to say that, anonymity. But thank you to you for donating. As I also mentioned at the top, if you donate now, your donation kind of gets maximized through matching by Proz.com. So every dollar that you donate is doubled by Proz.com. So thank you for that. We're going to move along to the next session.